aka the Leprechaun, the evil leprechaun. Lubin, the evil leprechaun. Origin, leprechaun. Occupation, keeping your shoes on fleek. Powers and skills, magic, reality warping, teleportation, superior strength, murder skills, immortality, torture skills, mind control, trickery, sadism, telekinesis. Hobby, collecting and counting his gold, killing anyone who steals his gold. Goals, collect all of his gold and kill anyone who gets in his way. Type of villain, contradictory, elf, greedy villain. Lubin, also known as the Leprechaun, is the main antagonist of the comedy horror movie franchise Leprechaun. He is a leprechaun who kills everyone who steals his gold, a vengeful villain who believes a family has stolen his pot of gold. As he hunts them, they attempt to locate his gold in order to mollify him. Lubin is a cruel, greedy, mean, sadistic, and murderous leprechaun. He tends to sing rhymes with very profane and threatening contents, such as, "This old lep, he played one. He played pogo on his lung," or, "For playing this trick, I'll chop off your dick." The Leprechaun was played by Warwick Davis. For stealing anyone's gold, an example should be made of them. However, in the Leprechaun's case, there will be nothing short of a gruesome payback. This villain's only downside is falling victim to having an obsessive compulsion to shining up and cleaning dirty shoes almost on a fetishistic level. Your safest ward of protection from Lubin is a four-leaf clover. Nothing could ruin a leprechaun's day much worse than stealing their gold and keeping them at bay with a four-leaf clover. Name, unknown, aka the Creeper. Origin, Jeepers Creepers series. Occupation, mass murderer. Powers and skills, immortality, strength, stealth, speed, flight with his wings, cannibalism. Hobby, eating people, torturing people before killing them, scaring people in order to find chosen victims through fear, creating a psychotic version of the Sistine Chapel. Goals, keep eating and to continue with his life. Type of villain, demon. The Creeper is a demon that eats body parts of his victims every 23 years that seems nearly invincible. At first, it was thought to be some kind of demon worshipper when Derry Jenner found its self-portraits. It has wispy white hair. It seems incapable of speech, but in the first film, it was heard whistling to the tune of Jeepers Creepers. The Creeper has the ability to regenerate any part of his body by devouring a similar part from a victim. In this manner, he has survived since biblical times, replenishing his deteriorated body by ingesting human flesh and organs. The ability also works as a form of healing as a factor, as the Creeper can discard injured or maimed body parts after ingesting a replacement version, as shown in Jeepers Creepers 2. In addition to this regenerative powers, the Creeper is quite resilient. In the first film, it was run over several times and was still alive. It then spatted out like a batwing. In the second film, it is impaled with harpoons multiple times, yet retains the ability to move, including several head wounds. The Creeper only stops moving when it reaches its hibernation period. The Creeper employs a variety of weapons in its pursuit for food. He commonly carries daggers and shurikens made from the flesh and bones of his victims, and possibly himself. The Creeper was played by Jonathan Breck. Cujo, aka Cujo. Origin, Cujo from film, Cat's Eye cameo. Pet Cemetery mentioned. The Tommyknockers mentioned. Occupation, pet, formerly murderer. Powers and skills, killing people with multiple bite and scratch wounds. Hobby, chasing and killing anything that moves. Goals, kill more people before they try to stop him. Type of villain, animal villain. Cujo is the titular main antagonist in the novel and movie of the same name, Cujo. Cujo was once the beloved Saint Bernard of the Camber family, but was bitten by a rabid bat in the nose when his head got stuck in a bat cave while chasing a rabbit, which was shown at the beginning of the movie. Cujo then went mad with rabies and killed any person he came across, including one of his own owners. A rumor has circulated that Cujo is an ancient Indian word meaning unstoppable force. In reality, Stephen King made it up himself when writing the novel. This canine villain strikes an unsurmountable level of fear into those which are naturally afraid of dogs, let alone rabid rabies-infected hounds of hell. Cujo will always be remembered for an abominable role as a true force of nature to be reckoned with. Utah, aka Predators, or Hish. Origin, Predator. Occupation, Utah Prime. Powers and skills, advanced technology and weapons, superhuman abilities, hunters. Hobby, hunting their prey and skinning them. Goals, hunt the most dangerous game available, kill xenomorphs. Type of villain, aliens, hunters, fighters. The Predators, also originally known as the Utah, are an alien race and the featured villains in the Predator film series as the titular main antagonists. However, they serve as the anti-heroes in the Alien vs. Predator franchise. The Predators, as a race, are great hunters, with trophies from many species across the galaxy. They are attracted to war zones, as those hunted there would make for the more difficult trophies to acquire, as well as the ones with the most honor attached. Trophies can consist of skins or skulls with the spinal column still attached. They often wear masks, and their faces resemble large crustaceans. Their equipment consists of invisibility technology, as well as an array of weapons, including powerful shoulder cannons. They also wear small but powerful bombs on their wrists in case of defeat. Despite the Predator's ruthless behavior when they hunt their prey down, they all have great sense of honor and fight within it. They never kill sick, pregnant, or unarmed people, and they show great respect towards those who have defeated their own kind. Predator culture revolves around the hunting and stalking of dangerous life forms. After making a kill, predators typically skin or decapitate the carcass, converting it into a trophy. Failure in a hunt results in the predator involved committing an honorable suicide. It is often alluded to that the reason each predator's hunt is not for sustenance or elimination of threats, but as entertainment or rite of passage, as they will only attack life forms that have the ability to provide them with a challenge. The Predator was played and portrayed by Kevin Peter Hall and Brian Steele. The Predators have the highest probability towards thwarting almost any foe, making them memorably dangerous, most renowned alien hunters, and deadliest in combat of any kind. Shere Khan, aka Shere Khan. Origin, The Jungle Book, 2016. Occupation, vicious Bengal tiger. Arch nemesis of Mowgli. King of the jungle, formerly. Leader of the wolf pack, temporarily. Powers and skills, high-level intellect, skilled climber. Speed, acrobatics, great strength, fighting skills, endurance. Hobby, hunting and herding animals, antagonizing and harassing Mowgli. Goals, kill and devour Mowgli and take and maintain power over the jungle and the wolf pack. All failed. Type of villain, predator, tyrant, misanthropy, provoker. Shere Khan is the main antagonist of the 2016 Disney live-action film The Jungle Book, a remake of the 1967 animated classic. He is a fearsome, scarred Bengal tiger who serves as the ruler of the jungle and is bent on killing the man-cub, Mowgli, because of his hatred towards mankind. His loping menace is envisioned so powerfully that he'd be scary no matter what, but the character becomes a great villain through imaginative empathy. Idris Elba voices Shere Khan in the 2016 live-action film The Jungle Book. In this incarnation, Shere Khan has several noticeable scars sustained from fights with humans, including a blinded left eye. He also hates humans and views them all as a threat, much as his previous Disney incarnation does. When interviewed regarding the character, Elba described Shere Khan as a creature that reigns with fear, and that he terrorizes everyone he encounters because he comes from a place of fear. Shere Khan has always been revered as a deceptive and evil, malicious character. However, if you poke a bull long enough, sooner or later you're going to get the horns. In his defense, a tiger is right at home as rightful king and supreme ruler of the jungle, most feared, coolest animated villain not to ever have vodka thrown at. Dr. Emilio Lizardo, aka Lord John Whorfin. Origin: The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. Occupation: Leader of the Red Lectroids. Powers and skills: Strength, knowledge of alien technology, including weapons and torture devices. Hobby: spreading fear and terror, insulting humans. Goals: taking over the 10th dimension. Type of villain: dictator, madman. Lord John Whorfin is the main antagonist in the 1984 sci-fi film The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. He is betrayed by John Lithgow. Lord Whorfin was the leader of the Red Lectroids, who had war with the Black Lectroids, the inhabitants of the 10th planet. Whorfin was a ruthless dictator and a gruesome maniac. He even got compared to Hitler by the leader of the Black Lectroids. He was defeated by the Black Lectroids and was banished together with his army of Red Lectroids into the 8th dimension. He possesses the body of Dr. Emilio Lizardo after Emilio got struck in the 8th dimension for a short while in the year 1938. An army of Red Lectroids lands later on Earth, which Orson Welles reports on his radio broadcast, War of the Worlds. But he's forced by the aliens to ensure that everything he said was just fiction. After being held in the Trenton home for a criminally insane of 50 years, Whorfin escapes after he sees that Buckaroo Banzai managed to get through the 8th dimension by using the oscillation overthruster. Lord John Whorfin seems to be heavily based on real-life dictators, as his hammy speeches about wars against other races seem to be mostly based on Benito Mussolini's speeches. Lord John Whorfin is accompanied by his henchman John Big Booty, played by Christopher Lloyd, and John O'Connor, played by Vincent Schiavelli. The suspicious trio are quite obviously up to no good, and by no means will they stop in pursuit of the oscillation overthruster. Beware of a crew of Johns all huddled together should you be trying to hack into the 8th and 10th dimensions. Lord John Whorfin, unpredictable, maniacal, most kooky villain. The Blob, aka The Blob. Origin: The Blob. Occupation: Destroyer. Powers and skills: digesting flesh upon contact, squeezing through narrow places. Hobby: eating humans, devouring everything in its path. Goals: eat more humans before they try and stop it. Consume everything in its path. Type of villain: monster. The Blob is a red, gelatinous, monstrous organism and the titular antagonist from the 1958 horror movie of the same name, and its 1988 remake. It is an alien entity who grows bigger by digesting humans. The Blob cannot be killed. It can only be stopped. The only way to stop the Blob is to freeze it. Some things changed aside from the characters, as now the Blob is a result of a military experiment created by Dr. Meadows, using some virus and outer space radiation. But the focus remained the same: the Blob eating entire city and growing bigger and bigger. Still, the future potential threat comes from a human himself, a local, scarred reverend who survived the Blob's attacks, who wants the day of reckoning. commonly known as the apocalypse, to happen according to God's will, as he knows keeps a glass jar containing a small remaining piece of the blob, waiting for a sign from the Lord. Nature of the blob. The blob is an amorphous, jelly-like creature who digests flesh on contact, assimilating it to grow larger and larger. Because it has no proper form, it can change its shape and squeeze through narrow passages and openings. As it grows bigger, it can engulf and smash things under its weight. The blob's only known relative is rumored to be Honey Boo Boo. Should the blob come into your presence, head for Antarctica. Full name unknown, aka the Lake Blob. Origin Creepshow 2, 1987, the second story. Occupation floating around, lingering inside lakes. Powers and skills consuming any and all living creatures, preying upon the helpless and arrogant. Hobby not applicable. Goals to devour its prey with an acidic efficient proficiency. Type of villain thick, gelatinous creature, menacing monster of Stephen King's imagination. The Lake Blob is the main villain in Stephen King's The Raft and Creepshow 2's second story. It is an oil slick-like creature, which is first seen consuming a duck as four teenagers swim towards an abandoned raft. This creature is truly menacing and could easily strike fear into the hearts of anyone going for a casual dip into the lake. Make no mistake, it is not a floating tarp or heap of garbage. Should you come across this abomination, call in the Center for Disease Control, the Army, and the Navy, if you can survive its wrath, known as the Raft. Full name unknown, aka the Cat's Eye Troll. Origin Stephen King's Cat's Eye, 1985. Occupation stealing breath away. Powers and skills tiny sharp jagged dagger, soul snatching, hiding in walls. Hobby maniacal giggling, warring with cats, preying upon sleeping humans. Goals to steal young Drew Barrymore's breath and eventually her soul. To kill General the Striper Cat. Type of villain harvester of souls, 5.5-inch terrorist inside the walls of your house. The Cat's Eye Troll is one of the main villains in the Stephen King horror film Cat's Eye. He is a tiny troll creature that mysteriously appears from a magic hole in the wall of young Drew Barrymore's bedroom. The Cat's Eye Troll has a primary objective to steal unsuspecting victims' breath away whilst they are sleeping. In the process of breathtaking, the Cat's Eye Troll happens to thrive from what appears to be soul-snatching from its sleeping victims as well. It wields a small, curvy dagger and wears a jester-like cap with tiny bells attached. Its tiny, ugly, gremlin-looking expression is unforgettable, including the features of its beady ruby or garnet-colored eyes. Knowing the existence of this micro-monster makes the idea of having mousetraps around not such a bad idea, though I am almost certain it will do little good. Best ward against thwarting this tiny terror is the loving presence of an indoor-outdoor cat. If allergic to cats, a gopher snake would make a great alternative. David, aka David Lopan. Dave or David. Origin Big Trouble in Little China. Occupation sorcerer, head of the Wing Kong Exchange, leader of the Wing Kong Gang. Powers and skills dark magic, trickery, cunning. Light manipulation. Lopan can emit bright light from his mouth and eyes that would induce temporal blindness. Mystical beam emission. Like Egg Shen, Lopan can project a destructive mystical beam that can virtually destroy anything it hits. Intangibility. As a result of the curse of no flesh, Lopan has reduced into a non-corporeal entity that can pass through anything. Hobby. Gaining power. Goals. Marry a woman with green eyes to regain his human form, then sacrifice her to please the Emperor, God, to return from beyond the grave and to conquer the universe. Type of villain. Sorcerer, Dark Lord, evil from the past. Lopan, sometimes written as Lo Pan. is the main antagonist of the 1986 action comedy film Big Trouble in Little China. He is an evil sorcerer who just wants to have his flesh again in order to rule the universe. Lo Pan has a legion of followers who will die to protect him, and 3 skilled martial artists with supernatural and elemental powers at his side. The trio named Thunder, Lightning, and Rain, whom together are known as the Storms. Centuries ago, Lo Pan, a great warrior, but most of all, a powerful wizard, was defeated in battle by the first sovereign emperor, Qing Dai Huang. The emperor placed upon Lo Pan the curse of no flesh. Although Lo Pan can be temporarily granted a decrepit body by supplication to the gods, in order for him to permanently break the curse and regain his human form, he must marry a woman with green eyes. This simple act will appease Qing Dai, the god of the East, but to satisfy the emperor, he must sacrifice her. As he describes his curse, Qing Dai has promised him that if he finds a very special girl with green eyes, he is able to transcend his weakened mortal form and ascend to a greater existence and rule the world for centuries. Lo Pan searched for a woman with green eyes, and although he did find some, clearly none of them fit the bill. Lo Pan, under a modern alias, David Lo Pan, disguised himself not only as a crippled old man in a wheelchair, but also as head of a trading company called the Wing Kong Exchange, employing an army of soldiers to do his bidding. He was portrayed by veteran actor James Hong. Most legendary, most psychotic laugh indeed. Can send his victims to one of the 7 hells to become boiled and skinned alive. It's that simple. Otherwise immortal, David Lo Pan is a fierce, supernatural force to be reckoned with. After all, you wouldn't hit an old man, would you? Give him your best shot, pal. He can take it. Next time on Epic Villains of TV and Movie History.